Welcome to this video about SignalR in Blazor server. Many of you will have seen the examples where they have a chat application, but in this chat application, everybody subscribes to the same hub, and on this hub, if they publish a change, everybody is going to receive it. Here we are extending this a bit by implementing also identity. The application will be written in basically 3 files: startup, the index component, and also our created hub. So in startup, because we are going to use identity, add authentication, you have to configure it. Default scheme will be cookies. And because we want to sign in the user before he's authenticated, we also have to set this property to false. Add the cookie, just override the default name. Now we have to add SignalR. And we have to add the HTTP context accessor. That's for the index component, but you see what it is about afterwards. Now here, after user routing, we have to use authentication, use authorization, so that the claims principal property with the name user is getting built. Now here we have to map our hub, map hub. I call it R hub. Of course, you have to create it first, and the URI is hub. Now let's create this hub, which is just, of course, a type of a class. We have to extend or inherit from hub. Now, on this hub, I will have 3 methods, and I will have 1 dictionary. You may ask, like, why a dictionary? We can also use like groups to see which user is in each group. The problem with groups is you can't iterate over them. So if you want to have an overview of all the users that are currently active, you have to do it your own, and that's a way how you can do it with a dictionary. And why a dictionary and not just a collection? I will show you in a minute. So I define a method that's called notify everyone in. So when a user is coming to our application, this method will run and notify everybody that the user is in. So how are we getting the username? Context, user, claims. Now here, let's just filter it. Type equals claim types, name identifier, because as default, SignalR is using name identifier to identify different users. Now, if the dictionary contains already a key with the username as the key type, then we are just incrementing its value. So current user, username plus plus. Else we are just adding it with the value of 1. Current user add username 1. Now, of course, we have to send to the client and tell them that they have to do something, that they have to invoke a method, send async, and this method is called update, so that they just update itself. And because they enumerate over this dictionary, they display the current online users. Now we also have here a method that is doing comparable things. It is called notify everyone out. And in here, you will see why I chose a dictionary. Again, I have to get the username. I can leave it as that. Now, if current user, okay, I can leave it here. So, okay, here I'm getting the username. Now, if current user, which is a dictionary, the username first value equals 1, then I can remove it. So here, if the user is getting logged out, we want to remove him from the list of the currently logged in users. But the thing is, if you have two browser windows open and you don't delete one of the cookies of these two windows, you will be logged in 2 times. And if you then would close one browser window, because this method is getting called when the component is disposed, then both browser windows would be logged out. And we only want to remove the user from the current user dictionary if we know that the value is 1. So therefore we are asking the dictionary where the key value pair, where the key of this key value pair equals the username that is calling this method. Then we are taking the first one, and this is going to give us a key value pair again back. And if the value of this is 1, then we can remove the user. And I know now, because I'm only doing this method and just afterwards I go to the index component, it's hard anyways to follow, because if I would always switch back from index and here, it would be hard, and so it's hard too, but I think you can also go over it yourself. So here, specific. Now, because we have identity involved, we want to be able to send a message to a specific user. String username, so for the user we want to send it, and the string message. Now, await the client user. Here we can just give the username in, because per default it takes a name identifier to identify its user. Send async, so we have to define this method here afterwards on the client. Receive message. Now, here we are passing 2 things in. Of course, the message that we want to send, but also the user which the message comes from. And here we can do exactly the same thing. We have to retrieve the username, and then here we can just give the username. So, like that. Now, I go into the index component. Here I have to first install the SignalR client. SignalR client. Yes, Microsoft, oh no, ASP.NET Core. Here it is. Now let's go back to the index component. Here I just will greet the user by its name. And as I told you, I will give the user only 1 claim, so we can just we know that the first claim and the only claim is the name of the user. Now, how can we log in the user? Therefore, I have to create a form. It has just 1 input field, type text, name, username, and I also have to create a button so that you can submit it. Log in. What? Oh. Now here I have to define the action. It's of course a post. post, and the method is the post, and the action is the login. Now for this we have to build a controller. So actually we have 4 parts to make the application work, not only 3. Now if we here HTML is doing the work for us. So if we click this button, HTML makes a post request to the login action. Create a new controller. API controller login. Only has one action. Action result. Now here from form string username, because I have defined this in the form. Where is it? Yes, username. Now IEnumerable claim, claims equals new list claim. It will only have one claim, as I told you. So now the formatting is a bit better. So let's create a claim, new claim. The type is claim types name identifier, and here the username is getting passed in. Now I have to define the claim's identity. Here I passed the newly created IEnumerable and give it a name. Just call it off. We have to give the name, otherwise the user is not logged in. Claims principal, its constructor takes the claims identity. And now I can, on the HTTP context object, call sign in async and sign the user in. Now the thing is, if a user comes in and he has already a cookie and he wants to override the cookie, we have to provide a possibility for that too. No, we have to redirect the user, if you are finished, back to the index page. Now so if the user has more than 0 claims, or if he has 1 or more claims, we know that he is authenticated, he has an identity, we are going to sign him out. And now we also have to sign him out from the list of the current users. Why is this not working? Sign out async. Now we also have to sign him out from the list of or from the dictionary of the current users. So remove user claims. Let's just take the first one. We could filter it, of course, but as I said, we only have 1 claim, so we just make that. Now, why is it underlined? Cannot be the same as the enclosing type. Okay, so the method login method. Okay, now we have that. Now we have to go to the index component. Here in the index component, first we have to import Microsoft ASP.NET Core SignalR client. We also have to inject the navigation manager to retrieve the current URI nav. We have to inject the HTTP context accessor, Microsoft ASP.NET Core. And we also want to implement the disposable interface, because only then because then we are sure that we have to we have the Dispose method, and in this method we are going to delete the user from our hub dictionary, and also importing our hub. So Blazor, and then okay, nav. I don't. Yeah, just leave it at that. Okay. Now we have to set up the hub connection. It is of type hub connection. Now this part that I'm showing you here is very important, because when I first tried it, it didn't work. And the thing is that the cookies, so that authentication works with SignalR. SignalR has to know about our cookies. And per default, I think the cookies aren't included, so we have to do that manually. New hub connection builder with URL. Now the navigation manager comes into play. Navigation manager to how do I call it? Only nav. To absolute URI the hub, because we have in the middleware or in the endpoints method that defined that our hub will listening on this path, and then we are giving it the options. Now in here, if the HTTP context, we have to use the HTTP context accessor for that, has more than one cookie, or like has a cookie, it's more than 0 cookies, then we are going to add these cookies to the request. We are going to add the first cookie to the request. Now, as you see, it will only work if you have only one cookie. Otherwise, you would have to filter it with ver, but I think that's self-explanatory. Nav base URI, so that it knows from which URI it has to look after the cookies. Yes, exactly. New system cookie, and it has a constructor which takes 2 strings. So the first one, I call it cookie because we defined our cookie scheme like that. Now HTTP context, the request, then cookies. Now, yeah, now I filter it. It's so that you see how you need to do it in a real application. Cookie, of course, if you filter it, you only want the first one, and then you want its value, which is of type string. So, am I missing a bracket? And I think the semicolon here. New system, add cookie, first or default, and then the value. Okay, so it works now. Now I have to define the methods that the hub is going to call. The first method, it's the easiest one, is the update method. So we don't expect any arguments here, just an action. In this action, we're just going to refresh the component. Now we also have to define the receive message. We have to define the receive message method here on. because we are expecting two strings as parameters, we have to make it, to give it, or the generic type parameters. First, give its name, receive message. Now make the action string. The first one was the user, I think, and the second one the message. What are we going to do with these two arguments? First, we have to create like a list of string, which will just be the messages. Now here we'll just add the user and the user and then its message, so that we know from who the message is coming from. And then we have to refresh ourselves again. So then of course we have to start the connection, start async. Now here we are going to look if we have to notify the other users that we are new here. How are we going to do that? If we are identified, then we are going to call the method and notify everyone in on the hub. Invoke async, notify everyone in. Before I run it, I have to check the spelling, then or I can do it just now. Notify everyone out and notify everyone in. Okay, so it matches. What's here? HTTP context into okay, yeah. So now I have also to define the dispose method. Otherwise, we don't implement the interface. Hub connection, invoke async. Now we notify the hub over calling this method that we are leaving the chat room. Is this already it? We have defined the hub. Yes, I think so. Let's have a look. Yes, because we are using the authorized view here, we have to wrap everything in the cascading authentication state component. No. And then here, okay, I think there was also an exception if like the claims are null. Oh, okay, no. So login, just give a name. Login. Yes, I also have to map our controllers here. Endpoints, map controllers. So I started out wanting to go from file to file and don't have to switch every time from file to file. Now I didn't succeed in this category. Okay, so this works now. Now if I open a new tab, of course it will be the same name because they have the same cookies. I go to the developer tools, delete the cookie. Now I'm setting a new name. Yeah, okay, here, yeah. I also forgot, I know this video is going to be catastrophic, but here I also forgot to iterate or to enumerate over all the users that are in the hub. So for each var user in our hub, because it's static, we can just go here, filter it out, where we only want to see the users that are not our users, that are not the currently signed in one. So where the key is not equals context user claims first point value, and then we want to display the user and also give the possibility to chat with him. Class alert info, because it's a dictionary. When we take the key, we see its name. Type text. I have to define the field. It's called message. I have to bind it to this field. The event on input. Now also a button so that we can send a message. Send message to user key. Here first I have to define here a method. Like now I'm asking myself, how could I forget this part of the application, because it's of course it's vital to have all of it. So string username. Now I have to invoke the send specific method on the hub, because it expects two strings, first username and second one is the message. So now I think here we have to first call this method, await, send to user, and pass it here. What was the first argument? Just the, okay, only the username. So item, no, user key. Now let's look. So now if I create here a new person, the other ones should get notified over the creation. So now they only see the other ones. So now, okay, the naming is a bit bad, but ASFDS only sees the other user and he only sees him. Now I'm going to create a third one. Here I give it a bit more of a meaningful name. First, of course, I have to delete the cookie. And I am going to call Ines. So now Ines sees the other two users, and the other two users sees Ines and the other users. So now Ines wants to send him a message. Of course, it's also not perfect. DF, so he should have received the message, but he hasn't. Why is that? So I quickly went over the application and I don't iterate over the messages. Yeah, I know the video is a bit of a mess. I here have to enumerate all the messages and print them out, but then it should work. Close alert. Let's just make it light and say add item. So let's give it one last shot, and if now there's again a problem, I just have to redo the video. So again, I'm going to create 3 users so that we see that we can target one specifically. Call it Tim. Okay, Tim sees Ines, that makes sense. Ines sees Tim, and here, okay, we have the same cookie, so it's both times Ines, of course, because of the same cookie. But we are going to create a new one here, and it is called Peter. Okay, so this works. Now Peter sends Ines a message. Where do we have Ines so that you see that it is real time? I have the breakpoint. Okay, now Peter. Now I want to show you Ines. Okay, so here is Ines. Ines has received the message. Now Ines has received the message from Peter. She wants to thank him. Back to Peter. Now, yeah, they just chat. Yeah, you see what I mean. They can chat without that Tim notices it because we are using identity. And just so that you see it, I'm going to Tim. Tim has. Okay, I know the video is a mess, but. Ah. Okay, so you see, Tim has not noticed anything. Now he sends something to Ines, and Ines is receiving something from Tim. So I hope I have explained it to you. I know the video got a bit messy. Yeah, thank you very much for your attention.